And when Dr. Evil gets angry, Mr. Bigglesworth gets upset. And when Mr. Bigglesworth gets upset, people die!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome to this part of the pond, the strange corner of YouTube, where we do reviews, deep dives, and highlight cows.
So many a lot of people compliment him, and ooh, that happened naturally.
We also analyze Disney villains, and that is what you're here for. That's what you clicked on. And I'm your host, the Bullfrog. And behind the camera and the man editing is the one and only Newt.
Face reveal at 100,000 subscribers.
We got him back, people! Yeah! Woohoo! Sorry, man. When you have a drought of a good editor and cameraman, you realize you messed up too much. So, I'm very sorry for all those bad edits. They were all 100% my fault. But now we got the Newt back. I'm sorry I'm gushing over the guy, but he deserves it. Life is better when you have an editor and a cameraman.
You gotta treat him right.
And speaking of treating right, if you hear any background sounds that are coming from upstairs, that's the baby frog and his family, my little brother and nieces and nephews. So please, embrace it. It's beautiful. We have a goal to find Disney's greatest villain, where we're basically looking for this. That in Disney. And we're not doing it by opinion, we're not doing it by a poll, we're doing it through a formula. If you want to know more, go here. Well, the disclaimers are done, everything's all set up. Let's do this thing! Sykes from Oliver & Company. Here we go. This is an animated Disney villain, so we have to look at him. And look at him. He looks like he could bench press me. And that is north of 245. And it looks like he could squat Newt, and that is north of... Give us some...
245.
That's bull, people. That's probably north of 300. No, not 300. I'm going to be honest. That's north of 260. Yeah, I'd say 260.
300 works.
I'm going for 260. He can squat that! Sheesh! This guy is just built for, well, beating me up. And it looks like he could give Andre the Giant a run for his money. I'll put my money on Andre.
Let's compare it to the size of my head. Andre the...
That business design, that black and tie and such, and the glasses, it's very, as big and broad he is, there's a little sense of class. And I like the fact that this guy is not just all brawn. There's some poetry in there. You'll get what I mean later on in this video, but yeah, there's some poetry in this man. It's not just visuals, there's vocals, the voice actor, which means I need to check the handy dandy notebook. But I can't lose my spot because of the camera and green screen, but he is voiced by Robert Lagoa. I bet I'm saying his name wrong. And Robert portrays his voice like he's the older brother of Patty and Selma.
Ah, Pagan, do come in. I'll be right with you.
Now there's a stink I could have done without.
Grasp the severity of the situation.
Am I wrong? Or did it just get fatter in here?
Of course, this guy's a huge, heavy chain smoker like no tomorrow. Well, he's not a chain smoker. He is elite. He does a cigar.
Dad, are you gonna lend me the money or not?
No, I'm not gonna.
So, yeah, this guy's voice and vocal cords have that raspy sound, and yet it's all about one thing: intimidation. I know I'm probably offending so many Italians right now, but I can't help it. And a lot of Godfather fans too, but I can't help it. This guy is all about intimidating. This is a man of class who will wipe you on your ass. He is going to do it, and I can't help but fall in love with this design and that voice of Robert. This is a good beat, and it's very unique. We can't compare Disney villains. We can't. But I can't help but highlight this one's very individual with the way how his muscles are shaped behind that suit. And that intimidation factor is really good. I like it. But I would give it a 3 out of 4. Now, watch me go off screen before that guy comes and beat me to a pulp.
But,
Does the man have presence? Well, to analyze presence, we created a formula. A formula within our own formula.
Like a taco within a taco? A double-decker taco supreme.
Exactly. And to analyze this, we have come up with this. And Sykes, I know, has history. He comes from Oliver Twist, the book by Charles Dickens. But I haven't read the book. Hey. Well, I have seen a BBC TV show of it, starring the guy from Harry Potter. Well, not the guy, but one of the guys from Harry Potter. Come on. I'm cultured, in a way. And I know Sykes is the real villain of that book. And in this movie, they're really focusing on that. Sykes is the real villain. And this is what they're exercising. And they are doing their best. And you see it with their intro of Sykes. Because they are hamming it in from the way how the car is being introduced, how it looks, how it feels, how it looks nice. And the fact that the hood ornament are 2 Doberman pinchers. Am I right? And to add on top of it, the man chain smokes cigars. So as you see this introduction, you have those huge, thick cigars, and he's just puffing like a steam engine right in Fagin's face.
Once you've had real Cubans, there's just nothing else like it.
You can tell there's a lot happening here. And it is really well done. But we'll get into that but a little bit. But they are really building up the promise that this is an intimidating man.
people like you get hurt.
The way how his henchmen, these dogs, show off and how big and bold they are. There is something scary here. This is the promise. It's intimidation and death. They are showing it off. This is the promise.
You guys are going to pay for this, starting with that cat.
But can they fulfill this promise? The threat, that is intimidation and death. Well, in this little clip we have where Fagin and Sykes meet for a second time, notice what Sykes is saying on his phone.
What do you mean? You start with the knuckles. The last thing you do, you put on the cement shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an offhand account of teaching someone how to torture a person and axe them off. So, I think that's the threat being fulfilled. Am I right, Newt?
I would say so.
And, yeah, which comes to the question, does he affect the environment? Does the environment change and shift to his will, basically? It does. No, really, it does. It took me the 5th time watching this movie to really see that. Again, it's during the second meeting of Fagin and Sykes. You get to see that the blue and gray is really surrounding everything. And the movie really blends into that. But that blue and gray we've seen before inside Sykes' car. And that is part of the great deep purpose that is Sykes, his two loves, his car and his dogs. You may say, you're pulling a little bit too much. Are you sure? No, really. Listen to the ways how Fagin compliments him on their first meeting.
I was just saying this to your two lovely, pure
Money,
blood
Fagin.
Oh my, you waxed your car, didn't you? Did they use the buffer on this? Because I can see myself behind.
I mean, during the car chase, he picks them up and puts them in his car and continues on the chase. He loves his car and his dogs. Even when he's not in his car is there. He and the car revolve around each other. Think I'm pulling it up? Wait till I pull up the times. Yeah, we time each and every villain. Why? For the free-for-all. Because this isn't a tier list. No, we're going to put numbers in. So when we get every Disney villain together, we're going to put them in a free-for-all and see who winds up on top with each and every group. So timing is important. And for that, we have to go to our handy-dandy notebook. And here, this is why I did that rant about the car. Listen, the car, not Sykes, the car is on screen 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Sykes, how long he's on screen? 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Barely beats his car. Barely. He and the car are wrapped together. They are shared. They are one. And what does this mean? And how does this affect Sykes' number? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of depth here. Is he going to get it? Sykes, what's the best way how to communicate this? The 1990s. During that time period, there were two teams that just owned the NBA. The Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz. And if you want to know anyone who was famous for being halfway there, it was the Jazz. And they don't really have a presence in the NBA as much. It's always Michael Jordan and the Bulls, which is deserved. But Karl Malone and John Stockton are still important. Am I right, Newt?
Yep.
And if you live in Utah, you would understand that. You're probably wondering, what the crap does this have to do with Sykes? He's the Utah Jazz. Try as he might, he doesn't get there all the way. But he's not competing against other Disney villains. I'm not comparing him to that. I'm comparing him to the movie he's in. And that is this. There's a glass ceiling. It's not named Michael Jordan. It's not Scottie Pippen or Dennis Rodman. It's just a glass ceiling. It's holding him down. Is it his fault? Is it the voice actor's fault? Is it the writer's fault? Is it the animator's fault? No. We have movies that exist in this realm of a glass ceiling holding them down. I mean, Newt. What is a movie that you know that has a glass ceiling on it?
I would call Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot about that, but I haven't seen it.
It's definitely worth a shot.
Some people know about it. I've heard about it. But I bet the people who've seen it say it's actually a great movie.
Yeah, pretty well done.
Problem is, it didn't break the ceiling. That's what happened to Sykes. And honestly, I should watch that. Future video? The number we're going to give Sykes isn't a mercy number. We give each villain what number they deserve. His presence is a 3 out of 4. Really, I've heard a lot about Dante's Peak, but I haven't seen it.
Pierce Brosnan.
Is he singing?
No.
Okay, good. Maybe I will watch it. But does Sykes have power? Well, with villains that interact with animals, part of their power is the sacred thumb. They have thumbs, the animals don't. That's part of their power. And also, in this movie, it shows off he has a gun.
Can't top it. You just can't.
He is a shipyard owner in New York. Okay, that's a lot of money. And also, he's a loan shark.
Now, I lent you money, and I don't see it.
Okay, there's a lot going on for this guy with power. And also, he has strength. Cars right now are built to absorb kinetic energy. So, when he breaks that car door window, that thing is made to absorb a hit. And what does he do? He punches it in the important spot where it's supposed to protect you. He's able to break that. Do you know how strong you have to be to have the PSI to do that? I don't know, but I know it's not a small number. So yeah, this guy's pretty powerful. He's pretty strong and he knows how to deliver. And also, here's a small thing about this character I would put in his power. He is not a brute. He actually is a man of poetry. I mean, look at this clip again.
3 sunrises, 3 sunsets, 3 days.
That is poetry. Not the sense of, oh, Romeo, Romeo, be my Romeo, but yet it still has a poetic flair to it. So yeah, just want to add that on because a brute that loves poetry, owns a gun, owns a New York shipyard, and actually has connections to the mob.
No, you don't kill him yet. Hmm?
Yeah, this guy is a 4 out of 4, and with power.
We're both professionals.
One of the ways how it can make or break a villain, and probably the most complicated of all the things to number, because you have to be balanced, you have to be independent and also dependable. It's a paradox, but if the paradox is done right and is balanced right,
perfectly balanced, as all things should be,
the henchman will be effective. And how does the Doberman Pinschers of Sykes favor this? Well, Roscoe and... dang it, it's still a funky name. What is it? DeSoto. Where did that come from? Adding to the poetry, though. These dogs are very obedient. All they need, and it means kill. So those are obedient dogs. And their owner will call up for them, and they will follow.
Run along, Roscoe. Your master's calling.
Come on, DeSoto.
These are loyal boys. They're good boys. Aren't you good? Aren't you good? Yes, you are. I'm sorry, I went into that little doggy bit. With my brother here, he brought his dog with him, and I realized dogs are pretty neat. I'm not saying I'm against dogs. No, I just forgot I just haven't been around this one this long. I mean, no animal that size has been in this house before. But as much loyalty these dogs have, there is independence.
Run along, Roscoe. Your master's calling.
They are intimidating because they want to be intimidating. I mean,
I ain't lost my sense of humor. See? I find that funny.
That's a joke.
Really?
During the climax, where Sykes is chasing the main characters in his car, proving my point even more, those dogs attack without command. They are going for the kill. So yeah, I would say these dogs are loyal, obedient, but also independent. I mean, the whole point of them, they are meant to kill, but the fact they do that by themselves without command is saying a whole lot about how they can read the situation. This last bit has nothing to do with the number. I just want to highlight the fact that this is probably one of the most brutal ways on how to kill a Disney villain.
Fatality.
But it's kind of showing off what's happening. These dogs are a 4 out of 4. Aren't you a good dog? Yes, you are. I'm sorry. It just fits.
throw the book at this broad. I've paid off all the witnesses, all the experts. I even have her attorney on my payroll.
This helps us figure out where to put him. All right, his acts of villainy. It begins before the movie begins. Because Fagin asked for money from a loan shark, who was Sykes.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Because that whole introduction was about Fagin paying off his debt. And Sykes gives him poetry.
3 sunrises, 3 sunsets, 3 days.
Fagin's actually falling into a depression, because that is a lot of money. I'm asking, dude, what did you get? How much money? And 2, what were you buying that money for? But this is not about Fagin, almost. This is about Sykes. That amount of money he gave to a poor man. Probably knowing he's not able to pay the full thing through, but yet he wants his money. He still thinks it's possible? The second time they meet, he believes Fagin has the money. He believes it's possible. But Fagin says, I don't. But in that moment of Fagin stumbling, trying to say, I have a cat, the cat's owner's gonna come, and that cat's owner has money. We're gonna threaten and bribe the cat's owner to get the money. And he's doing this while Roscoe and DeSoto are attacking him. Well, they should be attacking him, but his dog protects him. This is a villain idea. Fagin is a villain. But that villain idea is important because Sykes says this.
Oh, I'm proud of you, Fagin. Yeah, you're starting to think big.
Sykes thinks Fagin could be an investment. But he sees when Fagin meets the little girl that this is not an investment. This is a weak man.
Mouth shut. We'll consider our account closed.
So he takes matters to his own hands, breaks the contract with Fagin, but takes the girl instead. The next scene with him is him on the phone talking to her butler.
That's funny, Mr. Winston, but I don't think you really appreciate the situation. Somebody could get hurt. You just get the old man on the phone and tell him it's about his daughter, Jenny.
Okay, you think this guy hasn't gone far enough? Well, he chases them in his car. And he doesn't care what he's driving on. Street, sidewalk, stairs, subway station, through the subway, ruining his tires. He will get his money. He will get the girl.
Absolutely will not stop. Ever.
Okay, that sounds a little awful when said out loud. Before we could go to the end, we can't forget his phone call. This is a man who knows how to torture a person and how to axe the person. Here's the clip again.
What do you mean? You start with the knuckles. The last thing you do, you put on the cement shoes. Yeah.
If you have knowledge of how to do that, that means you have practice. The evil word. Well, not evil. Practice is not an evil word. No, practice makes perfect. But when you're doing it in this regard, we don't want you to be perfect. But he knows how to do it. So that means he's killed offhand before this movie. And I'm going to say at least 5 kills, because he knows how to do it. He knows how to torture a person. He knows how to axe a person. And he's willing to kidnap a little girl and send threats to the butler to tell the dad, because if not, he will get his money.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
And we see how determined a man is to get the money. I've been cleaning up the acts of villainy, and looking at it, I can't help but feel like this guy was just meant to be on the show American Greed. With the corruption and, most importantly,
the way how he has been ruling the financial side of Fagin and having Fagin go down this dark path because of what he has put Fagin in, his debt. This is the second time a Disney villain has achieved this goal. The first one was Prince John, and now Sykes. 80s Disney. What were you guys on?
This was the 80s, man. There were no helmets. It was a wild place.
This man sounds like he was forged by the fires of hell. In my notes, I had him in one spot. But because saying everything out loud puts him in a different highlight, and the fact that this is an 80s movie where he pulled out a gun ready to kill. I know, but he didn't kill because, after all, Sideshow Bob.
Convicted of a crime I didn't even commit. Attempted murder. Now, honestly, what is that? Do they give a Nobel Prize for attempted chemistry, do they?
But yet he has killed off screen. What do you think, Newt? A high yellow or a low red?
I don't know, with everything, the torture and killing, it feels more like a low red to me.
There we go. Sykes from Oliver and Company is a low red. Didn't see that coming. Wow. The 80s, they are brutal, effective, and very one of a kind. How come we can't get those back? I'm not saying they were dark and evil. I'm just saying, dark and evil as they were very beloved and awesome and awe-inspiring in their own way. We need another 80s. And hoping for that time to come, this is the Bullfrog and the Newt signing out. It's good having you back, bro.
Good to be back.
I'm sorry. This is what happens when the Newt is back. I get a little bit more loosey-goosey. There's no Werner Felton in here. It just happens. That's an inside joke for our subscribers. I love these. I love these subscribers. This should probably be that Werner thing should be an after thing at the end of the whole. Oh.